Yeah. Well, I've been having issues with hair loss.
She even showed herself getting a buzz cut. Now she's completely bald.
Because we're both in society, and why would I know I'm fat, you know I'm fat, why do we have to keep talking about it? You know, but then I became an actor, and now it's okay again.
Everyone thinks that having an unusual feature on your body means a lifelong burden. Shame, insecurity, the constant scrutiny of other people's eyes. That's what you're doomed to carry. But you'll be stunned to learn there are 11 black actresses who live with rare physical traits the public barely knows about. They endured harsh years, swallowing tears beneath layers of makeup, reeling as the lights exposed what they hid, bending under the weight of vicious rumors. Step into today's video and see how they turned the flaws Hollywood tried to hide into a declaration that left the world speechless. 1. Viola Davis. The bald patches and the obsession with wearing a wig to bed with her husband. Let's begin with Viola Davis, one of the most powerful stars in Hollywood and the first black woman to claim the Oscar, the Emmy, and the Tony. Behind that brilliant career lay a physical secret that once shattered her completely. Alopecia areata. The nightmare started in the early 1990s. In her early 20s, Viola noticed patches of hair falling out, revealing bare skin on her scalp. Doctors said she had alopecia, a rare autoimmune condition. To Viola, it wasn't just an illness. It felt like the collapse of femininity, a humiliation in an industry that worships perfection. To cover the bald patches, Viola began wearing wigs every day. She has said that from 28 on, she kept her head covered whenever she stepped outside. She even slept in a wig, afraid her husband would see the truth. On their soft pillow, she lay motionless, terrified that one moment without it would change Julius Tenen's gaze forever. The fear lasted for years, seeping into their most private moments. Julius sometimes grew suspicious, asking why she never wanted to shower together, why she always rushed to turn off the lights before getting into bed, why she often disappeared into the bathroom for hours in the middle of the night. Viola forced a smile and blamed work or exhaustion. One spring day in 2005, the secret came undone. In a Los Angeles casting room, Viola was auditioning under harsh lights. As she bent forward in an intense scene, her wig slipped. In an instant, the bald patch was exposed, revealing the truth she had hidden for years. The room fell into a deadly silence. Viola tried to fix the wig, but her hands trembled. A tear slid down her cheek, and then she broke into sobs right in front of the producers. After that, she spiraled. She considered quitting acting, spent sleepless nights with wigs tossed across the floor like evidence of disgrace. "I felt like I wasn't a woman anymore," she later said. In those months, the disease took more than hair. It took her belief in herself. Yet at rock bottom, Viola found another truth. She began speaking openly about her condition and the pain it caused. And in September 2015, appearing on the Emmy red carpet with her natural hair, no longer hiding, she stunned Hollywood. It wasn't just a choice. It was a declaration. Hair does not define a woman's worth. 2. Whoopi Goldberg. The story of the face with no eyebrows. If Viola Davis lived with the terror of bald patches, Whoopi Goldberg carried on her face a difference no one expected. While the public celebrates her as one of the few black artists to win the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, few know the secret behind those keen eyes. She has no eyebrows. The story began in the late 1960s when Whoopi was a young teen. As the first faint brows appeared on her round, baby-faced features, a few red pimples showed up too. Worried this would crush her daughter's confidence, her mother carefully plucked the brows away. What started as a spontaneous act became a habit she never reversed. Whoopi kept doing it for years, eventually forgetting what her face looked like with eyebrows. Later, on The View in September 2022, she admitted, "I don't know what my face would look like with eyebrows." The line felt light and eerie at once, a confession that her sense of self had been altered since childhood. When she hit Broadway in the early 1980s, she stepped into the spotlight with that face. Audiences grew used to the wide, unframed eyes, both sharp and surreal. By 1985, when The Color Purple premiered, moviegoers sensed something different they couldn't quite name. Many just felt that Whoopi's face didn't look like anyone else's. That very absence became an identity, making her impossible to forget. But behind the scenes, it wasn't always comfortable. A colleague once said he sat next to Whoopi for 6 straight years without realizing she had no eyebrows. When he finally noticed, he was stunned. In late 1990s Hollywood fashion circles, a rumor floated around. During prep for a Los Angeles red carpet, a stylist urged Whoopi to try penciled-in brows to make her face look softer. When she walked out, everyone froze. They said she no longer looked like the Whoopi they knew. The audience response was chilly, and she herself felt like she was wearing a stranger's face. After that night, she dropped the experiment and kept her unadorned face for the rest of her career. If those brows had never been plucked in childhood, would the world still know a Whoopi Goldberg whose face is familiar yet hauntingly singular? 3. Angela Bassett, the masculine arms that shocked Hollywood. In 1993, American audiences were floored when the big screen exploded with a breathless powerhouse, Tina Turner, in What's Love Got to Do with It. The woman who brought her to life was Angela Bassett, born in Harlem in 1958. Before then, Angela's name had flickered in a few supporting roles, but after that moment, Hollywood couldn't ignore her. What people couldn't look away from wasn't just the blazing performance. It was her unusual arms, muscles so defined the press called them arms of steel. The story of those arms wasn't confined to the gym or the screen. It erupted into a quiet scandal in the summer of 1993 when paparazzi photos of Angela leaving a workout hit the tabloids. In the slanting afternoon light, her arms showed ropey veins and athlete-level definition. Rumors spread fast. Angela Bassett had used steroids to prepare for Tina Turner. Angela explained that it all came from grueling training. She spent hours in the gym lifting heavy weights and doing push-ups paired with a high-protein diet to become a fierce, tireless Tina Turner. The truth is that her body naturally builds muscle easily, and under intense training, her arms developed so quickly that even she was surprised. "I trained to the point of exhaustion, and my body responded more strongly than I expected," she said in an interview. What almost no one knew was that her trainer once revealed a rare biological quirk. Angela's biceps had an unusually high ratio of fast-twitch muscle fibers, similar to elite sprinters or Olympic lifters. That trait made her muscles grow far faster than most actresses and made her arms look un-Hollywood. She didn't dare publicize it, afraid it would fuel more whispers that she was unnatural or using banned substances. Explanations didn't quiet the doubts. Hollywood wasn't used to a black woman with pronounced veiny arms. To the tabloids, it was proof of something illicit. Headlines blared, "Angela Bassett, Tina Turner, or secret bodybuilder." Friends recalled her crying in a dressing room, saying all those hours of sweat were being overshadowed by cruel accusations. Does a black woman's strength invite suspicion more easily? It's sad that Angela Bassett's arms, a symbol of discipline and willpower, became an excuse for the public to dissect and diminish her. 4. Grace Jones, the one-of-a-kind razor blade face. Grace Beverly Jones, born in 1948, is one of the most controversial icons of the 20th century, a figure who shattered every norm of gender and beauty. No one can forget her face, those high, knife-edged cheekbones that looked carved from steel, and a body that blurred the line between masculine and feminine, both alluring and intimidating. The world called her the Queen of Androgyny, but few know how her remarkable features sparked stories that haunted fashion and music for decades. Experts have said Grace Jones's cheekbones are so uncommon they border on rare. Her facial bones grow with striking verticality and sharper angles than usual, as if sculpted from cold metal. Under stage lights, her cheeks cast long shadows, creating a look both eerie and surreal. In fashion circles, whispers said Grace had a razor-blade face, a visage that sliced through the old standards of soft, feminine beauty Hollywood once enforced. Those blade-like cheekbones gave Grace a shocking advantage. She became one of the few models whose face hardly needed lighting tweaks. In the 1980s, when makeup and photography tools were still relatively crude, many models required teams to contour their features. Grace only had to step under the lights. Her cheekbones threw their own shadows, turning her into a living sculpture. During a Vogue Paris shoot in 1981, as the lights came on, Grace walked out nearly barefaced, her sharp cheekbones casting shadows across her cheeks. The team went silent for a few seconds. Then photographer Helmut Newton exclaimed, "My God, we don't need a fill light. Her face is lighting itself." People later said the room shivered at that moment. In an era when other models spent hours being contoured, Grace simply stood still and let her bones do the work. That singularity made her a legend, seen by some as an outsider, and by others as a supernatural creature of fashion. 5. Alfre Woodard. A wandering gaze turned into a Golden Globe-winning weapon. Amid the hundreds of black actresses who appeared in Hollywood at the end of the 20th century, Alfre Woodard didn't arrive with dazzling beauty or a model's figure. She arrived with something different: imperfect eyes. From childhood, Alfre's left eye had a slight strabismus. What seemed like a tiny detail became a burden throughout her early years. Friends mocked her, teachers often looked away, and little Woodard cried alone in the dark, afraid of those prying looks. Yet that harsh fate forged a turning point. When Alfre studied acting in the 1970s, that unusual gaze set her apart on stage. Whenever the camera moved in on her face, the asymmetry in her eyes felt like two emotions coexisting, one tender, one steely. The contradiction made it impossible to look away. In 1983, in Cross Creek, when her character endures a painful moment, those eyes became a weapon of devastation. In a close-up, one eye seemed to tremble with hurt, while the other shone with resolve. The scene stunned audiences and earned Alfre her first Oscar nomination. Few know that behind the scenes, that asymmetry once brought her trouble. In the early 1990s, a rumor spread that Alfre had consulted a surgeon about cosmetic correction, but she firmly refused. A colleague recalled a shoot where the director advised her to face straight ahead to minimize the misalignment. Alfre said nothing, then kept acting her way. The result was Miss Eversboys in 1997, which won her the Golden Globe. Her eyes became the emotional center of the character's tragedy. Today, looking back on a career with 17 Emmy nominations and 4 wins, people understand that Alfre Woodard's unusual gaze helped her reach depths a perfect face might never touch. From childhood shame, she forged a weapon, proving to Hollywood that sometimes asymmetry is exactly what makes a person immortal in the audience's memory. 6. Cicely Tyson, a lifetime marked by a burn scar. Cicely Tyson, born in 1924 in Harlem, was the daughter of a poor immigrant family with Caribbean roots. She would become one of the rare black stars embraced by Hollywood, yet her journey was shadowed by a physical secret. In the winter of 1932, at 8 years old, Cicely was playing in the tiny kitchen with her siblings. In a split second of carelessness, she slipped, and her right hand slid into a pan of boiling water on a coal stove. A scream rang out, steam thickened the air, and the skin blistered. Doctors in Harlem could only bandage her up. Weeks later, the wounds healed, but they left rough, visible burn scars across the back of her hand and down her fingers. From then on, that hand bore a mark that couldn't be hidden. When Cicely began acting in the 1950s, Hollywood remained unforgiving to women of color. She faced both racial bias and the constant urge to conceal her scarred hand. In photo shoots, she tucked it behind a dress, gripped a prop, or turned her body away. It didn't always work. Then, in 1972, while making Sounder, a close-up revealed her real hand. Under the lights, the ridged scars were clear. Eagle-eyed viewers caught it immediately, and headlines followed. The Secret on Cicely Tyson's Hand. It shocked audiences used to flawless star images. Now they saw the imprint of a rough childhood and a painful accident. Instead of hiding, Cicely gradually accepted it. She said the scars reminded her of real pain, helping her inhabit characters who endured and persevered. The hand that seemed like a flaw became a source of strength, convincing audiences that she wasn't merely acting, she was living the role. Cicely Tyson passed away at 96. With her went the story of that childhood burn, closing a journey from early tragedy to unbowed icon of black cinema. 7. Gabourey Sidibe, The Broken Chair and a Shocking Body Secret. Gabourey Sidibe was born in 1983 in Brooklyn, New York. She entered Hollywood in 2009 with Precious, the story of an abused, ostracized teen living in a larger body. The film stunned the world, and Gabourey immediately became a rare face, willing to show a body far from the norm. Behind that was a quiet struggle called PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. As a teen, Gabourey realized her body wouldn't cooperate. Hormonal imbalance drove rapid weight gain. By 2005, she weighed over 150 kilograms. Doctors warned it wasn't just weight, it was a serious condition with risks including diabetes and infertility. For a young woman dreaming of acting, the crueler blow came from public judgment. In the fall of 2009, just after Precious premiered in Toronto, a shocking incident occurred. During a live talk show, the chair Gabourey sat on suddenly collapsed on air. Some in the audience laughed. The clip was cut and spread across the internet. People didn't show compassion, they mocked. Forums floated claims that sets had to swap in reinforced props for her. The rumor was never confirmed, but it clung to her for years, an invisible scar. Instead of breaking, Gabourey turned humiliation into a voice. In 2017, in her memoir, This Is Just My Face, she disclosed her PCOS, recounted crying alone in bathroom stalls after reading cruel comments, and admitted she once thought about ending it all. Then Precious, the role she feared might make her a punchline, earned her an Oscar nomination and turned her into a symbol for black women pushing back against body shaming. Today, Gabourey Sidibe is more than a celebrated actress. She's proof that a body labeled defective by Hollywood standards can become a weapon that exposes prejudice and transforms private pain into shared strength. 8. Danai Gurira. The leg scar Marvel supposedly erased with CGI? No list of black actresses marked by unusual physical features is complete without Danai Gurira, the star of The Walking Dead and the warrior Okoye in the Black Panther universe. The world admires her cool, formidable presence, but few know the secret etched into her body since childhood. It was the summer of 1986 in Harare, Zimbabwe. 8-year-old Danai was playing tag around a small schoolyard. In a careless instant, she fell into a rusted barbed wire fence. Blood gushed down her right calf, and the gash ran so deep her parents feared lasting damage. Weeks of bandages followed. She healed, but a long, raised scar down her calf remained like a destined cut stamped on her body. When she began acting in the early 2000s, Danai tried to hide it. Stage lights, however, are merciless. In 2012, during Season 3 of The Walking Dead, a fight scene briefly revealed the scar. Fans buzzed, assuming it was makeup for Michonne. By 2018, when Black Panther premiered, a tabloid went so far as to claim Marvel had used CGI to erase the scar, so it wouldn't distract viewers. The rumor spread. Danai stayed silent. Only years later did she admit the truth. Every time I see that scar, I remember I survived. The confession sent a shiver through audiences. The scar wasn't a prop or an effect. It was a harsh childhood memory. Today, even on the red carpet in dazzling gowns, the scar shows under the flash. More than any makeup, it reminds us how strong Danai Gurira has always been. 9. Tisha Campbell. When a flushed face was exposed on set, next is Tisha Campbell, born in 1968, a familiar face to American audiences from the sitcom Martin and later My Wife and Kids. With a bright smile and quick wit, she became the quintessential girl next door of 1990s black television. Few knew that behind the humor was a hidden battle with sarcoidosis, a condition that marked her facial skin in the harshest way. On March 15, 1996, on the Martin set in Los Angeles, Tisha stepped into a scene wearing makeup layered like a mask. The crew knew she'd spent nearly 2 hours covering unusual redness around her eyes and cheeks. Under the hot lights, sweat began to melt the foundation. Mid-scene, a close-up unexpectedly revealed mottled red patches. The studio audience murmured. A few snickers came from the back rows. Tisha froze. Her carefully guarded secret had been stripped away in public. Speculation exploded. Some said she'd had a botched cosmetic procedure. Others cruelly spread talk of substance issues. Tabloids ran exaggerated photos, calling her face Hollywood's cracked mask. The truth was harsher. Doctors diagnosed sarcoidosis, a rare immune disorder that can attack the lungs and heart, and especially inflame the skin. For months, Tisha nearly disappeared. In her journal, she wrote she was afraid to face the camera's light, knowing my skin could betray me at any moment. Rather than let rumors destroy her career, Campbell spoke up. In 2003, in a New York interview, she went public about her condition. The decision shocked people as much as the 1996 moment, but this time, audiences listened. From a source of humiliation, Tisha Campbell turned the redness into a badge of courage, a stark reminder that even television's brightest smiles can conceal an unimaginable struggle. 10. Jada Pinkett Smith. The shaved head that shook Hollywood. Jada Pinkett Smith has long been a familiar face in Hollywood. Born in 1971, she's known for memorable roles and for standing beside Will Smith on every red carpet. Long hair, a radiant smile, a proud carriage. Together, they formed the image of a flawless star. Then, in 2018, that image changed in an instant. Jada appeared with a shaved head, and Hollywood fell silent. In May 2018, on Red Table Talk, Jada disclosed she had alopecia. She described the terror of showering and watching clumps of hair collect in her hands. For a star whose livelihood is tied to image, it felt like a cut to her self-respect. By July that year, Jada walked a Los Angeles red carpet with a newly shaved head. The room stopped. Some praised her courage, others whispered unkindly, "Is it cancer?" Rumors spread, and Jada's head became headline fodder. What surprised the public even more was Will Smith's response. Standing beside her that night, he gripped Jada's hand and, before a wall of cameras, gently kissed the crown of her head. The small, defiant gesture read like a pledge. She is still beautiful, still proud, and I'm by her side. Later, in an interview, Will admitted he had cried when he saw her hair on the pillow, but chose to turn pain into support. If Jada must wear a shaved head, then I'll make sure the world sees it as a crown. The image flipped the narrative. What began as a shock became a symbol. It revealed Jada's courage and a partnership that refused to hide. Instead of shrinking from her most vulnerable moment, they turned it into a statement about strength and truth. Please write this final figure with vivid tragedy and emotion, introducing the person, explaining why the physical secret was revealed, with a focus on one shocking detail and interesting rumors, then close with a concise, powerful ending. Include dates, places, and fitting context, use transitions for a smooth flow, and avoid repeating the approaches used for previous figures. 11. Thandiwe Newton. A birthmark laid bare in an intimate scene. Thandiwe Newton was born in 1972 and grew up in two worlds, part of her in glittering London, part anchored in the African heritage of her mother. From an early age, she knew she was different. On her lower back, a dark patch spread like ink, what she called an ancestral mark. For a child, it meant both shame and obsession. Fate brought that detail into the open. In the summer of 1994, in Versailles, France, while filming Jefferson in Paris, Thandiwe had to perform a love scene. The lights were sweltering and the heavy concealer began to smudge. When the camera tracked down, the birthmark appeared clearly on screen. The scene remained. On May 31, 1995, at the Paris premiere, theatergoers whispered. Some asked, was that makeup or real? Because of her African roots, some even spun tales that she'd undergone a tribal rite. Others unkindly called it a skin illness. Every comment was a cut. For years, Hollywood directors asked her to cover the mark with thick layers of makeup. Thandiwe insisted on keeping it. She told colleagues it was a witness, a part of her she refused to deny. Yet in the dressing room, she once broke down in tears in front of the mirror. One reflection was the international star. The other was a body that could never escape judgment. In 2016, when Westworld premiered, Thandiwe let the birthmark show. In a stark nude lab sequence, her back was bare, no CGI, no cover. Global audiences were stunned. The birthmark, once a target for mockery, became the fiercest declaration yet of a woman willing to embrace every part of her own body. As these stories close, 11 black actresses have shown that being off-standard is not a sentence, but the starting point of courage. Which artist's story surprised you most? Share in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden chapters to come.